In part two of episode 80, we look at our recent photos and really dive into some of the photographic elements of our images. Hello, everyone. It is Monday, December the 26th already, 2022. I'm Greg McMillan, and this is the iPhoneography podcast. And hello, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, doing good, Greg. I think we're both completely stuffed at this point. We had ham for Christmas,
Oh, yeah.
so that means we have ham and bean leftover soup for the next week or so.
There you go.
Not complaining, just that after a week or so, it gets a little long in the tooth.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, last week we're still, I guess you could say we're still in the holiday mode here.
Oh yeah.
It is only Boxing Day. So last week we talked about, shooting tips for the holidays and whatnot. So hopefully everybody made some wonderful memories that way. And this on this show, we are going to talk about our recent photos, and we'll save our holiday photos for another time, but just things that we've taken recently. And when we talk about them this time, like, we've always given the story behind the image, but based on some awesome feedback in the Facebook Messenger chat for the podcast, people have wanting to know a little bit more than just the backstory of the images. So we're going to try to get into, composition and why we framed it the way we did, that type of thing. So that's what we're going to try to do. We've never dug into it that deep before, but we're sure going to give it the old schoolboy try. So we'll start with you, Dave, and we'll alternate this week. So we'll start with your first one, which is a red something.
This is actually to get into the Christmas spirit. When we had before the snow hit, but there was some frost in the morning, and this is an outdoor light that we have. It's one of those
that's one of those.
outdoor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of those. They look like giant. I want to say giant. They're around a foot high, maybe half a foot to a foot high. Lawn that you would use like a path marker.
Right. Okay.
And it looks like an ornament, or it's not an ornament. It looks like the old fashioned light you would put on a tree, just giant sized. And this is looking from the top down at the frost.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much macro mode, if you will, because I got pretty close. But I didn't want to get too close and cut out the pattern on the crisscross pattern on the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can actually see the little ice crystals if you look towards the middle.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the nice thing about that too is it's a square crop, which works perfectly fine with just a round object. There's no need to have it. There's no need to use the rule of thirds here for this one.
Right. And like this is also one, I think I was just running something outside, and I was literally running because I think it was running like a last minute trash out in the morning. And like I said, there was frost, and I just happened to look down. I'm like, that looks like an interesting pattern from the top down, because no one ever looks at the lights. And this is one major advantage of the iPhone, the 13 Pro and the 14 Pros, is the built-in macro mode.
Yeah.
Because I was able to get pretty close, good enough you can actually, like I said, you can actually see the crystal cubes that are frozen on this, because this is a live photo. So this is, that is a huge advantage of having this, is that if I didn't like a particular, while I'm trying to take the photo, look down and hold the camera in freezing temperatures, if there was a little blurry, I could always use the live to reposition it. if I didn't like how it was looking. I did very little editing on this though. I think I did some in the Photos app, built-in Photos app,
Hmm.
but that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's just I like I said, it's early enough where the frost is there. It's not completely covering, so you see the individual cubes, but they're not melted away yet, so you can still see them as cubes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm a sucker for a macro picture anywhere, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really like it. It almost looks like salt crystals, eh? Like the way
Mm-hmm.
they're just
Yeah.
um, it doesn't look so much like frost, even though it is, but and going with the holiday theme, you got red with a green background, and with white, white frost on the ball itself,
Mm-hmm.
or on the is it a ball, or is it a like a thing that comes up to a point on top?
A thing that comes up to a point on top.
Okay, yeah, but looking
Yeah,
straight down,
and
you
like
can't even tell, really.
oh no, no, and that's what gives it a little bit different. Like I said, it looks from the side like an old fashioned light that you would put on a tree in
Oh,
a
okay,
string.
right, yeah.
So it has that elongated look to it, almost like a candle flame.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, but except it's much larger. But you don't normally look from the top down or straight on the end, though.
yeah, yeah, and that's what makes it kind of cool. It
Mm-hmm.
leaves a little mystery to it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And if you don't tell what people like, is it and in the background, you can't tell that's grass
not really,
with
no, just
frost.
because the way the
It's
frost is
really
on it.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
you'd
only thing that
almost think
really
it's
shows off,
you'd almost
it
think
could be
it's
on
like
a
a light on
tree.
a tree.
Yeah.
And you that
Yeah.
blue line that goes in behind is obviously the power cord, but that
Exactly.
looks like the power cord on a Christmas tree light.
Yeah. There's nothing outside of, a very blurry background and what I'm taking the picture of to tell you scale.
Yes,
So
yeah,
this
that's
could be
right.
something that's exceptionally small. It could be something very big. You don't know just from the picture.
Yeah, that's right. And had you not said that you were pretty close to macro mode with it, then who would know, right?
Exactly.
Uh, Now, can you take a macro photo with a live photo? I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Okay.
Oh yes. Yeah.
All right. That's cool. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one. Um, my first one, it's a little out of order in the way that I sent them to you. It's actually going to be the second one you see there. It is a low angle view of a very small railroad track in
Mm.
in a town that's about half an hour or so away from here on the Lake Huron shoreline called Port Elgin. And years ago, there was a small train that used to take people for rides through this wooded area along the waterfront, and then it would loop around and come back. And so we were over there just for a drive, just to get out of town and go somewhere and do something. And we were walking the dog along this. There's a path to the left of the frame, and like these railway ties, they're like 4x4 pieces of wood. So that's how big they are, to give you a sense of scale.
Okay.
And of course, you can see the leaves and the pine needles there.
Uh-huh.
And I keep forgetting to say this right at the beginning, but folks, look at your phone. You'll be able to see it. If you can't see it on your phone, go to the website and you'll be able to see the images there. But so these tracks are only about, maybe, I don't know if they'd be 3 feet apart. So they're pretty
Okay.
small. So what I did was I had my reflex telephoto lens with me, and I put it on.
Mm.
I think it might have been the telephoto camera, and let me see. I put it on the telephoto camera of the iPhone, just held it down right by the ground, um, pretty close to the ground anyway, just a few inches above the ground, upside down. And I just tapped on the leaf right about a third of the way up the frame or almost halfway up the frame. And I
Mm-hmm.
took the shot. And what I did was I used Snapseed to edit this. And in Snapseed, I did the usual contrast and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
saturation and whatnot. But I also put a little bit of glamour glow on the image to help
Mm.
really um, blur out that background a little more so than when it was actually the way it looked on when I first took it. Because I just wanted to really, I kind of wanted to emulate a real telephoto lens that you'd have on a
Mm-hmm.
like a DSLR, and with the reflex lens, it really um, it kind of blurs around the outside anyway. Like it's pretty good for doing a
Mm.
close up portrait because it
Mm-hmm.
really blurs the background. But you put that on the telephoto lens of the iPhone, and it really blurs it. So when I did the edit, I wanted to um, put the glamour glow on there just to really emphasize that. Now, as far as composition goes, uh, I, you know, typically I would put the horizon line a little lower in the frame, but I wanted to just show a little bit of the trees at the top. The track goes, the leading lines of the track go right to the center, but then as you can see, the track veers off to the right. And I didn't want, like, I wanted that corner where the tracks turn the corner. I wanted them to kind of just go into into nowhere land where you can't really see where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I didn't really I could have stood up and taken the shot, but I got down low so that everything was, really compressed horizontal or vertically. And it kind of just disappears off to the right into the trees, and you can't even
Mm-hmm.
really tell where it goes. But my focal point was there's a couple of leaves right by the second railroad tie from the bottom of the frame. And that's about the only thing that's really sharp in the whole thing. Everything else is blurry because of the lens and the way I took it. Um, so, I just I wanted to kind of give it a bit of mystery. And if I could take this over again, I would have centered the phone up a little better in the tracks. But I kind of wanted those leaves to be almost in the center of the frame, and that's basically how it ended up the way it is.
Yeah, and honestly, if you would have centered the tracks, you would have lost the part where it goes off to the right in the
Yeah,
distance.
yeah, I think you're right there too.
Because right now it kind of goes off to the right, but it doesn't. You can tell it doesn't completely go off to the right.
Yeah,
It's hard to tell if it goes to the right and straight or the right and turns around.
yeah, yeah. Spoiler alert, I think it goes to the right and goes right around. Like it
Okay,
starts
yeah,
to make
because
its
there's
turn
almost a
back.
stop sign. Yeah, there's a stop sign off in the distance. But the other thing to mention is that this works with the built-in camera app too. If you're doing a very low angle camera shot like this, turn the phone upside down,
Hmm.
take your photo, and when you bring it back, it will correct it so your photo will not be upside down again.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
it
right.
does use a gyroscope to say, oh, even though the phone is upside down, that's the top of the photo, that's the bottom of the photo. Okay, now that you moved it, I'm adjusting the photo to the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Not to
right.
the way the camera was, but to how the world is.
Yeah,
Because I've done that actually on railroad tracks also, where I just hold it upside down, and that way you can get it right on the ground almost.
yeah.
Sorry, to
Um,
take the picture.
yeah. And I'm looking at the data on my phone for that image, and it was
Mm-hmm.
not on the telephoto camera. I apologize. It was on
Mm.
the wide camera or the main camera, but I hit the 2x.
Mm.
that the 14 Pro has.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
so that kind of helped.
That nice little feature there.
Yeah, that kind of helped compress the image a bit. But as far as cropping goes, I think all I did was take a little wee bit off the top. Let me see here. No, you know what? That is uncropped, completely uncropped. I thought I took a little bit
Oh,
off the
wow.
top, but I didn't. So yeah, that's exactly the way I shot it. But yeah, so trying to emulate a big zoom on a big boy camera, and that was the result. So your second one?
Let me bring that up here. So this is first of two Christmas lights I took. So we did a little driving around before Christmas and to see what the different Christmas lights is. And this is in the upper part of Oakmont,
Mm-hmm.
which is 2 towns over. And this is newish homes. I want to say 1980s, 1990 type things.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this is a big old home.
It is, yeah.
And I love the way that they had the trees lit up and the bushes in front of the house and how that lit up the front of the house.
Yeah.
But you still could see some of the, if you look on the right hand side or you can see the wreath on there, but you can still see, and this is something to keep in mind. If you have a big old window like these people do,
Mm-hmm.
that's above the front door and to our right, um, you can see in the house.
Yeah.
The fact that there's all these lights, it doesn't just blow out the inside of the house. Um, you can see where they have some blinds down, but between that and the fact it was cloudy that night,
Yeah.
so it wasn't a clear night, and the sky, it just makes a nice contrast because where it is lit, it's pretty sharp. But the
Yeah.
sky, because it is, this was taken. Let me try. I'm gonna try to see here when I took it. I'll say it was taken late at night. No, it wasn't. It was taken 5:45.
Okay.
Of course, that's the one horrible part of the year. It's like, oh yeah, it must be really late, really late. What
Oh,
time is
I
it? Five
know.
o'clock.
It's crazy.
So yeah, this was taken like 6:15, 6:45. So it's not late. It was early in the day,
Mhm.
early-ish in the evening.
Yeah.
But just how the clouds were, um, they looked a little. You get a lot of texture in the clouds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was not a clear night. It was quite overcast. But because the lights are so bright, the rest of the like the trees in the background, the rest of the house is in silhouette,
Mm-hmm.
and the sky being a little textury, if you will. I wouldn't call it threatening, but there's a definite texture to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did do this in Lightroom just because I wanted to do a little more fine tuning than just simply warm cold.
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah.
want it warmer? Do I want it cooler? It turned out some of the green was kind of overpowering, and using Lightroom Mobile, including the free, the non-paid
Yep.
type,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually just go in there, select green, and then change just the green itself.
Yeah. So did you
And so I
desaturate it a
I, I
bit then?
kind of turned down, yeah, the
Yeah.
green only. The
Yeah.
green only, I took it down because it just made everything look green and overwhelmed everything else.
Yeah. Well, I like that you did that because it keeps the yellowish color of the bricks, looking
Hmm.
more the way they probably should. And and speaking of the bricks, you've got lots of texture in there still.
Yeah.
Hail deep fusion. It different spots throughout the house. You could really see the texture. I mean, it's almost like they're made either a little bit wet from some precipitation, or um, possibly
I
just
think it was
maybe
just a
not perfectly
little bit of
aligned.
wear.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
maybe some
that I would
wear.
say
Yeah,
that and a little bit of wear,
yeah.
and it was probably just because this was from a distance. So this was with the zoom lens.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, this is actually from the zoom using the zoom lens. It's a 77,
Hmm.
Also, this was from a car.
Yeah, yeah,
So I parked the car. I turned off the light so you didn't get like the car lights going straight on.
yeah.
Stuck my hand out the window and then took the picture that way. Just because you try to take a picture through the window, it doesn't matter how clear and dry you make it. It's
Oh
not going to be
yeah,
that clear and dry.
yeah. No, it's so you're
So
actually
luckily it was warm enough. It wasn't an issue.
your car was facing this dead on, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The way the road goes, the road kind of goes right towards the
Oh,
house,
okay, okay.
which I would find exceptionally annoying that you would
Yeah,
have people coming around the bend and you're pretty much at the T-bone there of the
yeah.
road.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice that in front of the house there are almost no like big security trees, bushes that hide the house or would break the light coming in from people driving around.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I like I said, just the contrast and also using the dehaze tool
oh yeah,
in
okay.
Lightroom Mobile. That's always a one that I try to use. That
Yeah,
just seems to like a magic eraser almost and
yeah.
take some grime away.
Well, I really like that the roof itself is just a silhouette. Um,
Hmm.
all that's lit up is the front face of the house itself, and that's basically it. And it's just lit up by the trees outside. Um, there's lights on the inside, sure, in some of the rooms, but yeah, it's just a really cool shot, and I like the crop, the 16:9. It really works well. There's just the right amount of sky. You've got, compositionally, you've got the trees in the background, all, they're not cut off on the top, which is good. And, they're cut off a little bit at the side, but that's okay because everything it just runs
Right.
out the side, but it really works well in a 16:9 crop.
Hmm. And one thing that I think someone also mentioned from an earlier podcast, if you take it in 16:9,
Hmm.
you don't lose the information though. Because if you take it, you're really taking a 4:3 shot. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
cropping what it shows you 16:9.
yeah.
So if I wanted to go into, well, like I said, I edit in Lightroom Mobile, which kind of kills the undoing part that you can do with a lot.
Hmm.
But if you take a shot in 16:9 and go, oh, I wish I would have captured a little bit above a little, you can go in and basically push it back to a 4:3
In the Photos app.
in the Photos app. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then,
that's
or
good
if
to
you're
know.
like, oh, I just want to slide up or down my,
Yeah, yeah.
the framing, you can do that. You can just, change it that way or, keep it as a 69 or change it to another, aspect ratio if you want to.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, so my second one is the one with the sun. It's a sun dog. And this was taken the same day as the first one with the railroad tracks.
Mm.
Um, so I tried to situate myself with you can see, tree very slim, thin tree branches on both sides of the frame, and I tried to put the sun dog kind of right between the two of them, so I had to kind of sidestep a little bit to get in the right spot, and then I tried to get the sun dog as close to the center of the frame as I possibly could. Um, as you can see by the green dot, I didn't succeed. So when I cropped it in darkroom,
Mm.
and in darkroom, in the center of the crop is a little circle, and I put that right in the middle of the sun. So the sun is right in the middle of the final crop of the image, and so this is overlooking. There's a harbor to the left. You can't really see much detail there because it's I mean, it was so bright shooting directly at the sun that a lot of the
Hmm.
stuff on the ground there got um, silhouetted out, which is fine. I mean, I'm okay with that because I didn't really care about the detail in the foreground. There's a sun glare on the water, and uh, that thing sticking up in the middle, I could have taken that out. That's one of those big windmills, and if you look closer to the
Oh,
lower right, you
okay.
can see a bunch of them in there. It's like a wind farm, and
Okay. I
you
can
know,
see the one oh, I see it now.
yeah,
They're oh wow. I would say especially the ones on the bottom right, they're really hard to see.
yeah, and I shot this 48 megapixels, so if I had done it in 12 megapixel, they'd be even worse. But um,
Yeah. Well, I'm
uh,
saying they're not small. They're not hard to see. They're hard to see because they're small,
yeah, yeah,
not because of its being blurry. But from that distance, especially these types of windmills where the actual blades are very thin,
yeah,
once you get from a distance, you can't tell if they're windmills or if they're just power lines or if they're trees even.
yeah, yeah.
The
That's
one on the
right.
left you obviously can, but the one on the right, once you get to a certain distance, it's really hard to see, anything else going on.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, the important part was getting the whole sundog itself,
Hmm.
and the original unedited image looks a lot more bland. Like there's not much,
Mm,
not much differentiation between inside the ring and outside the ring. So I did some
mm,
contrast and clarity stuff in darkroom, and I actually even saturated a bit to help bring out the uh, uh along just above the horizon line. You can see some, a bright line of light in the clouds
hmm.
there, and then a couple of dark clouds. That the contrast really helped, that separation between the highlight and shadow, and then um, saturation actually helped bring out the color a little better. And
Mm.
but that's about all I did. I think I actually the only other thing I did was maybe put a little bit of a vignette on it just to darken the corners a little bit and bring more emphasis to the center of the frame where the sundog is.
Hmm.
And but yeah, that's about it. As far as the rest of the clouds go, there was no cropping or cropping, no cloning or anything. It was just that's just the way they looked. And it's not very often you see these things, but when I do, I like to
Yeah.
try to capture a photo of one. And I actually had a half decent scene this time, looking out over the water.
Hmm. Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So your last one.
It's another Christmas pick,
Hmm.
but they did something different this time, something kind of neat. They lit up the trees with red and green spotlights from below.
Yeah, that looks really
So
cool.
it has a really nice kind of glowy, just kind of a glow feature to it. Um, it's almost if they weren't red and green in Christmas, it would almost be spooky.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
It is definitely stick season. Um, this was done in a 4:3 aspect ratio, just because how close I got to the tree to get the entire scene in.
Yeah.
This is also one where I did not turn off the headlights of the car. If you notice to the bottom right, you can
Okay.
see the road is lit very, very well here.
Yeah. But that
So
kind of
I
adds to it though.
probably, yeah, I mean, probably should have did it at that time because yeah, I don't know, it just would have kind of a bigger thing, only having the red and the green as your main light sources there. But
Yeah.
I think, like I said, it still turned out pretty good there. I'm thinking this is more of a main road. So for safety reasons, I kind of had to keep the lights on.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
But I just love the especially with the trees being sticks. No leaves here. The red and green lights work a lot better than I think if they wouldn't even if they would have had leaves in the tree if they were evergreens.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, for sure.
and you can tell that on the bottom right they did it to another set of trees they have on the other side of their property.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the one that's right in front of you is a combination of red and green lights versus only being red or only being green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they almost look like arteries and veins, though.
They do, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was just really striking. It was just something different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You just
cool.
don't see that many people lighting their house in their yard like this.
Yeah. Now, what I like too is the you know, just off the center, which is good. You've got the big tree in the foreground, and then off to each side, and almost equally distant from the edge of the frame, you got a green one on the left and a red one on the right. So spacing them out, I mean, you stop the car in just the right spot, it seems. And having a little bit cut off the top, that's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
it gives you a sense of how big the tree is, and it looks like it's a fairly big one too. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. And the
and
lights kind of run out up there too, if you notice.
yeah, yeah,
You kind of run out of red just because it's so far away from the lights down below.
yep,
This was night mode. I just double checked it. It was night mode.
okay,
This was around the same time I took the other photo.
oh yeah,
Um, and this was with the wide lens.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Well,
did a
if
little adjusting for the sky too.
oh, okay,
Because the sky originally, I didn't do a full blown replacement, but the sky was a little blander, if you will.
mm-hmm,
So it just gave it a little more contrast between the two.
okay. And did you add a vignette, or was it naturally dark like that around the edge?
I did add a bit of vignette here. I did add a
Okay,
little bit of darker vignette because
yeah,
I just wanted to focus on the main part and what it made darker around the edges. There really
yeah,
wasn't much there. So whatever likely was coming that way, I didn't really want the eye to go in that direction. It was really like you said, the big tree in the middle is kind of the focal point,
mm-hmm, yeah,
and the other trees, which are smaller and in the background, highlight. But it's kind of the big tree in the middle there, which kind of grabs your attention.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, it's really cool. I can't get past the veins and the arteries now.
Yeah,
It looks like a great big lung.
it does. It does.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
throws you off.
yeah. Well, that's cool. Um, so my third one was just taken a few hours ago here. We were out for dinner at Montana's. I don't know if you guys have the Montana's chain down there. Um, it's like a Western um, type of bar and restaurant or whatever. And we were sitting at a table, and I just looked down towards the exit, and I saw the Christmas tree down there,
Oh.
and I thought, with the floor, you can see the wear and tear on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
where people do walk through a lot, and it just kind of caught my eye, so I just put the phone on the table to hold it steady. I used I believe it was the 3X, and just took the shot. Um,
Okay.
no cropping or anything. I just did a quick edit in photos on this one. Um, you know, Saturation, stuff like that, contrast, and a little bit of vignette, and I think that's all I did to it. But I just thought it kind of looked cool, looking down towards the door
Mm-hmm.
with the tree, and the one thing um, that kind of was really interesting was that the sky outside is really blue looking, but when you look at it with just our eyes, it just looked gray. So I thought it
Oh.
was kind of funny how the phone, that's why they call it blue hour, I guess, because a camera
Mm-hmm.
sensor will just really turn that blue, it seems. So, it was
Yeah,
just an
because the rest of
interesting.
the image isn't like a cool tint to it or a cool tone.
No, no.
There's a lot of warm colors on the inside.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
and that's
isn't like.
basically the decor of the whole place. It's all like this
Hmm.
warm wood and everything else, and yeah. So,
And I,
you
I
know,
love the almost the leading lines that lead to the tree.
yeah, yeah, with the wear on the floor, and And I mean, everything just, you're just kind of like almost like a Stanley Kubrick thing. You're looking almost down a hallway type of thing towards the subject.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a
Yeah, very cool.
not something I would shoot all the time, but it just kind of caught my eye while we're sitting there, and I thought, yeah, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
the photographer in me's got to take a picture of this. So that's my restaurant shot, and that is our recent photos. And I hope we did due diligence with talking about, more than just the story behind it, but some of the photographic elements of the images. And I think over time, Dave, I think we'll get better at that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Figuring out the composition and all that stuff and why we did what we
I-
did. So
yeah,
um
and we want to balance it out. We don't want to go into too little detail or too much. So it just takes time to, and we hear back from you either through the email or the Twitter when Greg posts or their Instagram or the chat through Facebook.
yeah,
We
yeah.
definitely love to hear back from people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Um and this is our last show of the year. So I won't be
It's
talking to
hard to
you
believe.
probably
It's
till.
hard to believe.
Yeah, I know. Um, you know, I won't be. Most likely won't be talking to you until next year. So that's going to be seem like forever away from now. But,
Yeah, true,
um,
true.
but and another thing to put in the feedback is do you like splitting these shows up like this? Last week we put out, uh, you know, stuff like holiday shooting tips and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and this week is our recent photos. Would you rather have that all in one, or do you like the fact that we're splitting it up and popping up in your feed? Basically, it's weekly instead of bi-weekly. Let us know. We want to know that kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
and also give us more ideas of what you want to hear. Um,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes Dave and I will get on here and we do this. We record over Zoom, and we'll get on there and we'll say, or maybe it's earlier in the day, we might text each other and say, well, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a few ideas and whatnot. So it's we always come up with something. And this is
Oh
the
yeah.
time of year when there's really not a lot of news to talk about. So
Right.
probably not till maybe the spring or something. But there's iOS updates that come out and all that stuff. But I mean, there's so many people talking about that stuff anyway that we don't need to, unless there's something really big in the camera or something like that comes out. But
Yeah.
um, hasn't happened this time around. But anyway, well, Dave, remind everybody where they could find you.
Sure. You can find me on most social media as Prof Pod, except for TikTok as Prof Pod TGH, and the Facebook group, both chat and the board, as Dave Podner Jr.
Alrighty. You can find me on let's see, Instagram, Macmillan Photo, Mastodon, link in the show notes. Same with Dave, and Vero Glass. I put all my most recent stuff on Glass, and I'm just at Greg on there. And there's links in the show notes for all the places you can find us. And it's been a pretty good year for the podcast. We've gone through some growth, and we're very happy about that. And we're just gonna keep putting out more stuff, and who knows, maybe we'll even revive the YouTube channel a little bit with some, like, little short videos of how to do stuff or whatever. Like last week we talked about slideshows. Maybe we can throw together a video and put a short on about how to put these slideshows together. um that's just a thought that came into my empty head right now, so who knows. But we're always looking for ways to bring you better stuff, and we hope that everybody had a good year, and we wish everybody all the best for the new year coming up.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So on that note, I guess we'll see you all on the next one.
Have a great one, everyone.